Hey everybody, Mark here. This is the open letter video, part 1. Got more dust, right? And we're really gonna just get into this here, and I'm gonna try to read through everything, and if there's anything that I need to interject, I will, but I'm gonna try to get through just reading it first, and then go into further details later. I don't know if I'll want to, set up like a different shot here and get cards. I'll probably go over specific card analyses later in that format, but for here, yeah, it's just going to be kind of a discussion video. I was hoping, that I would get more in the mood for kind of a rant, but it's going to turn out to be more like a video essay, even though this is just me freehanding it here. And I should be kind of more excited for this video. I feel like, if you figure something like this out, you should really be like, whoa, oh my gosh, look at this. But I realize that the first thing everybody's thinking, if they've watched the intro video, they know what's about to be gone over here, that your first thought should be skepticism. That's rational. So I want to try to just do this as straightforward a manner as I can do here. So I've got my my hardcover, and we're going to go over other topics too, specifically like power creep, and maybe further notes on design philosophies for specific abilities and effects that get added to cards. Maybe have to be in separate videos, but I kind of wanted to start here with the kind of middle part of the future editions page on page 26 of the hardcover. It would be page 27, I think, in the free PDF. Starting with, this is just my personal philosophy here, that games should not be altered for unnecessary reasons, and I consider games meant to scam money from players by incentivizing gambling addiction unnecessary. To that end, you will never see any such gimmicks here. For example, there is no artificial rarity of cards in this game, since you make your own cards. And there will never be any exclusionary card sets, obsoleting card sets, or any other introduction of power creep. In fact, no card sets at all will ever be released for this game, and abilities are designed to be balanced. If they aren't, then they get edited. That seems like pretty harsh wording, but everybody in the Magic community agrees with me, I'm pretty sure. Everybody in the Yu-Gi-Oh community understands that part of the success of the game is its secondary market. The game is the secondary market. If it didn't have value on the secondary market, it would go the way of baseball cards, probably. And so part of this is a necessity. I understand that these things sort of need to be, and that it is kind of this weird gray area that we play around with, but as much as can be fixed about that, and as much as I think can be done honestly and transparently for every game company, that it should be done that way. And I really hope that not only do these fixes happen, the ones that I'm about to go over, but also that they look at other aspects of their games, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, pretty much Magic the Gathering though. Yu-Gi-Oh has a very interesting kind of way about or how they print and reprint certain cards and kind of keep the values nicely cascading. They have your first edition higher value cards, and then they reprint them so that you can always get the good cards at a more reasonable price. I know some people like the foil versions a lot more, but if you're just wanting to play, then you can get a very cheap Yu-Gi-Oh deck that is very competitive, and a lot of the same is true for Magic, but with the different formatting with standard format, Yu-Gi-Oh kind of has the whole card pool, so these things are a little different. But for now, we'll pretty much just be focusing on Magic the Gathering as we reference everything here, because I think this is the primary focus right now, and in the future, I may, for next editions, I don't know, it may just be a different open letter, because with each new edition there may be more things that needed to go over, or that I need to go over, or more things I can clarify, better examples, or just more of game mechanics that Mage War sort of deconstructs. It might be helpful to go over those. So, I kind of was thinking that I wanted to read this out of order. I wanted to read the part addressed to trading card companies first, trading card game companies first, and then do the player stuff. But I'm all doing this in one take here. I don't want to do too many. I'm just going to go in the order that it's written, and we'll just go through it. An open letter to all other trading card games and all players of those games: Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Force of Will, Exodus, et al. To players of other TCGs, but mostly Magic the Gathering. To evaluate the power level of every card ever released, use Mage War as a template to evaluate a balanced deck and play cost for that card. To find what is balanced, compare values and mechanics of existing cards, and determine what the proper cost should be. Secondary abilities are non-conditional, meaning always useful, and so incur both a deck and play cost. Special abilities, and in some cases world abilities, are conditional, meaning sometimes useful, meaning either the ability requires an activation cost or it requires certain conditions be fulfilled before it is useful. This is the main distinction, I think, between, and this is going off the letter here. The main distinction between abilities that get assigned to creatures and those that get assigned to spells is that the creatures follow this conditional, non-conditional rule set. Everything else, abilities for Magic the Gathering would be designed as specifically the instant version, if it was an instant version, the sorcery version if there's only a sorcery version, or you could have multiples if you find the abilities in those same different versions. If there's an instant, if there's a sorcery of the same kind of thing there. I'm not sure there's too many of that, but Magic, there's so many cards. I can't know them all. I don't know if anybody does. But for spells, for any kind of spell, that's how you would create if you were Wizards of the Coast, if you were designing the design booklet, the manual that your design team would use, sort of like this here, but this would be a set, a specific set, the design template, the book for that set. And you would have all the costs for those abilities, and some of them you would designate as instant or sorcery. That would be something that you would write in the notes of the ability, or one of its separations, kind of. But when designing for a set, and actually I'll probably go over this later too, but it's the same as, let's say, kind of a deck. It follows less of a cube because there's fewer of in a set, because there's more cards and there's more abilities. It's kind of more diverse. But if you look, I think at the Scryfall, it has a breakdown where you can show, or actually no, it's the Magic the Gathering wiki. I think maybe it links to Scryfall, and you can see the percentage of each ability that's in that color. And you can even break it down by set. And you can see that there are no more than, 4 of the creature versions and 4 of the spell versions. You can see that it follows kind of a very similar template, whether intentionally or unintentionally, of Mage War, sort of with the card limit where you can have 3 of an aura and 3 of an ally. So the design template would include that. So if you were evaluating a set, you could break it down in terms of those abilities, because if you were breaking down an entire set, not just a single card, then you would probably be writing sort of an ad hoc version of the design team's book. You would sort of do the math and figure all of that out. And so the main thing to focus on is determining whether an ability for a creature is conditional or non-conditional, which determines whether or not it contributes to its play cost. So something like Venom, or no, not Venom, Infect? Yeah, I'm getting my Mage War and Magic terms mixed up here. Infect. Infect is probably, just like in Mage War, a special ability, meaning it's conditional, meaning it doesn't incur the play cost. Sorry if I misspoke earlier, but it's conditional that doesn't incur the play cost. Non-conditional, always useful, means it does incur play cost. So Infect should probably, in my mind, it seems like a conditional ability. And I can actually go over this in a future video in much more detail, but think of it as useful sometimes, or conditionally useful, or, you know, it's limited in scope in some way. And so a creature that had Infect, despite anything else that it had, wouldn't incur casting cost from having Infect. And I guess we can continue reading here. To evaluate the power toughness of MTG creatures, use the deck/play cost formula provided by Mage War for attack/defense of allies. And this is the same, but balanced, comparable casting cost in Magic the Gathering of a creature having those values, and meaning for power and toughness. However, when calculating this cost, you should be aware that MTG allows for 0/1 creatures which have a base cost of 1, i.e., a 0/1 costs the same as 1/1, 2/1, or 1/2. Note on equipment cards. The total cost of an equipment card is divided between its casting cost and its equipped cost. The minimum an equipment card's casting cost can be is 0, while the minimum its equipped cost can be is 1. So if you look at, just to kind of cap off the equipment discussion there, if you look at 0 cost equipment cards, they have some ability on them. And let's say if it's a 0 casting cost, it'll probably have something like, you know, +1 + 0 or +0 + 1, something very cheap. And that being a bonus would still incur, you would treat it sort of like giving power and toughness to a creature, but it's an ability that equipment card grants. It's a bonus to attack and defense, to power and toughness. And so this is non-conditional because it can be given to any creature, and if the creature dies, you can equip it to something else. So you would treat it the exact same as giving a creature power and toughness, and it would cost a minimum, because 0/1 is minimum of 1. So a equipped cost for that equipment card would have to be 1, while its casting cost could be 0. If whatever bonus it granted, let's say 2/2, that would have a casting or a total cost of 2. So it could be divided, but the minimum a equipped cost can be 1. So the only variance you could have on that if the total cost was 2 would be either 1 casting cost and 1 equipped cost, or 0 casting cost and 2 equipped cost. And for the formula, to go back here, the formula for attack and defense, just so you don't have to go back and read there, we'll go over this more in deck construction. is that attack and defense, the deck cost is the total. So 2, 3 is 5. And the play cost is that divided by 2 rounded down. So 2, 1. Deck cost of 3. 3 divided by 2 rounded down is 1. So the play cost for a creature having 2, 1 is 1. Deck cost of 3. And people looking to understand how to evaluate sets, keep watching. We'll go over that in the, actually probably part 2. We're not going to end here, but later on in part 2, going over how Magic the Gathering could balance Magic and eliminate power creep. That's what this allows them to do. But to kind of give you the quick answer, assume that a set would have like a total MP deck cost for that set, and you would treat it like a really big Mage War deck. The abilities would all, have their limits, and then you would see what the total was for that set. You could evaluate a whole set that way to see what's the exact power level of a set. Well, or its total deck cost, let's say. And then you could actually evaluate the total power level by seeing what the difference is between that and its play cost, or casting cost. And we'll talk more about spells too. We're kind of going mostly over creatures, but you can use this system to evaluate the power level of every card in every set ever to exist. And also, hang on a second. Sorry about that. To ever exist, and also for each new set that gets released. This may help you speculate on the value of these products, both on the primary and secondary market, depending on whether you're a distributor, game store, and/or collector/investor. Pokemon is also fairly easy to speculate on, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably more difficult. All this said so far, these are all fantastic games, especially Magic the Gathering, for whom we all have so much to thank, and I enjoy them all, although I have not yet played Exodus. And at this point, I really just cannot stress enough how much I love Magic the Gathering. Ever since I started in like '96, the first cards I saw, pretty sure were Ice Age. Just immediately hooked. The sublime aesthetic, the hand-drawn artwork, it just hit everything in my imagination. Just I could not get enough Magic the Gathering, and still to this day, it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure I said this in the intro video, but yeah, just none of this is done out of malice. This is all just fun math. I feel like making spreadsheets. To TCG companies. Now we're getting into the second part here. That was just sort of the intro, and now if you're looking to speculate, if you're looking to actually do this, keep watching here, and you'll start to understand exactly how a card is evaluated, and really just kind of the basics of that. And then of course I'll do videos in the future of actually evaluating specific cards, or even groups of cards, things like that. To TCG companies. If you don't employ the following solutions, then players and investors can use this system to speculate on all of your products, and this may affect both your primary and secondary markets. It could mean that the power to determine the quality of cards is no longer in the hands of your design team, but rather the players and investors. I'm not sure how much I really need to go over that, but Wizards of the Coast. If this takes off, if people realize what they can now do, they will make those spreadsheets. They will determine what the exact power level of every set is when it comes out. Even for Throne of Eldraine, you mean you're releasing spoilers already, I think, for the new Theros set. Speculation can happen very quickly. And I understand there's also some maybe insider trading, something, just if enough information gets out. I mean, and the second the full Throne of Eldraine spoilers were released, I went through all the cards, and I really quickly just calculated what all of the different power levels were for the cards, and I saw which cards were most powerful in terms of their value, their play cost versus what they did. Again, this system does not tell you exactly what combos are more competitive or what's better in a format that actually needs to be solved, and again is kind of something you need to analyze in other mathematical formulas that people have already done in very great detail. All of the deck construction stuff out there, that's all how you do that. But if Wizards of the Coast, if you're not aware of this and already planning ahead, if you're not designing your sets with this in mind, if you're not balancing Magic the Gathering at 0, then all the math people do will show them exactly what cards are valuable in a much more objective sense very quickly. That will make a lot of other people very angry, I think. But I think a lot of people in the long run will be happier just knowing how to do this. But if you balance Magic the Gathering at 0, if you eliminate power creep, then all of the math people are doing will mean nothing. It will only show them that they're checking your math and that it's all 0. It's all balanced. So here's how to fix that. Here's how to balance all of your games and solve the problem of power creep. Basically, what you'll do is adapt Mage War to be a card design manual which your design teams design for themselves for each new set, which defines new abilities. You will then give each set a standardized point total. The below section is intended for Magic the Gathering, but aspects of it also apply to other TCGs, with relevance varying mostly on whether or not that game uses resource management. For example, Magic the Gathering's mana or Pokemon's energy cards. However, there is a section specifically for Pokemon following below. Let me check the time here. How far are we in? We're 22 minutes. Okay. I'm actually going to cut the video there before we go to the next section. So that was part 1. I'm just going to keep filming here, so really no transition to do. The next let's see here, we stopped reading right here. We're going to keep reading right at MTG. Page 27. All right.